Hello, everybody. Welcome to No Bullshit Podcast. I'm joined by Some Black Guy here, Some Black Guy from YouTube. His name's Derek. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Doing great. Thanks for coming on the show. Glad to have you here. Today we're talking a little bit about my video that came out yesterday. It was called Race Realism, RageAfterStorm, Drama Explained. I was kind of jumping in on the tail end of this whole YouTube discussion, though. To be fair, it's been going on for about a week. People have been talking about her video. People have been responding back and forth. And you messaged me earlier today on Twitter. We had a little talk, and we just thought we'd go live with it, clear some things up. So if you want to go ahead and get started.
Yeah, definitely, because all this stuff has been going on for so long because of, I think, that nobody's really listening to each other. No one's really fully understanding what people are mad about, or why people are even criticizing Rage's video in the first place.
Right.
And that was one of those things that, like, say, your video, and since you're one of the bigger YouTubers and somebody I watch, there was things, and
thank you. Hold on, let's just talk about you watching me first. No, I'm kidding. Okay, go ahead.
It was one of the things that it was like the biggest grievances were not addressed in your video. And so I'm sure there's a lot of people that were suggesting that, hey, yeah, this must be what I have a problem with, the things that you mentioned. And one of the biggest things that was mentioned was, talking about like IQ. When we talk about IQ, and to be perfectly clear, like, I had a stream, I was on a stream, I've done some Twitter videos, and I never had an issue with, Rage bringing up IQ statistics or anything like that, or using like the bell curve as an example.
Sure.
And there are people, and there is a debate for that, because there are people that will say, well, the bell curve is complicated. But the one thing that I just talked about when I talk about, like, say, the bell curve or something like in statistics like of the sort, is that it doesn't suggest like why. It just only gives you to the, of what. It only answers what.
Right.
Like,
and I think that's where it gets tricky is, if we're going to talk about the bell curve first, it has a lot of implications, and that's where it gets people in hot water, or they get into trouble, or whatnot. People get offended. It's because of the implications. And I think we talked about this on the phone a little bit earlier, but yeah, I think a lot of people just really tend to go to dark places. Their first thought is just, oh, this is bad. This is bad. Whereas when I was trying to do my video, I was trying to come at it more, this is science. These are facts. I didn't make a lot of conclusions in my video. I did make some guesses, I'll admit, but yeah. And then back to what you were starting with, I do agree. This is good to clear the air, talk about some things, because there's a lot of like people talking over each other on this, and one side is addressing something totally different than the other.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, yeah, like I said, that's the biggest problem. There are parts in the video that people are skipping over that are like some of the biggest things, where it's like, I had no problem with her Rage bringing up FBI statistics. That some people suggested that I had a problem with her even bringing up things like that, just straight up factual knowledge. And I'm like, okay, no. But one of the major things that we talked about were, say, things that came from her sources, like things that were inside of her article, like, say, from the Daily Stormer, that said, and she quoted that lack abstract thinking and have no concept of Western morality.
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest complaint I've heard too from you, a couple of YouTubers, and a lot of comments was I didn't address that in my video because I thought it was more, and when I watched Rage, it felt like more of a throwaway line, and I didn't think as much of it. And I definitely, for the record, I don't agree that Black people have abstract thought. Clearly everyone can have abstract thought. I didn't want to go there at all because I was talking about some other things, but yeah, this is one of the main points where your videos and people that have been streaming with you have been focusing on that, where my last video yesterday was just mostly focusing on IQ, race realism, and a few other things.
Yeah, and I get that, and it's just one of those things that, like, however, since everything isn't being addressed, especially some of the major issues that we're taking, that people are having problems with, it's almost like suggesting, like, there's people that were talking and saying, well, it seems like No Bullshit is defending Rage, and he believes in some of the stuff that were, some of the claims that were made. Like, that's what's happening, especially when we don't like address everything. Like, it's just more confusion, and it's dragging the conversation out even more, because, like I said, we can debate about things like IQ, and it's one of the things that when it comes to Rage's video, what she said, and it was, she made it what it was she was suggesting that, you know, the IQ is just purely tied to genetics with nothing in between, no variables. She didn't mention anything about any variables. She did not mention anything about nurture, you know, no nature versus nurture, just straight up. It's just genetics. And it seemed like she was trying to, you know, when she made those claims about lacking abstract thinking or, you know, no Western morality, that it's like, yeah, it's in their genetics. And, you know, there's essentially nothing you can do for these people because this is just how they are, you know, and there's no other explanation for that. And
right,
I was like, well,
I think that I could see people coming to those conclusions, seeing her video. I don't think she said any of those things directly, but I could see the implications, and I think that's where the problem is. And I kind of noticed with this video, oh God, I mean, first of all, let's just put out there, you know, race is just touchy to talk about all the time, really, and it can be sensitive, and people like to, you know, call racist on certain sides about feminists or whatever. But the other thing here is the reason this is so touchy is because we're not talking about physical attributes that just can't be denied. Like, for example, Asians are short, white people are pale, things like that. And that's not even necessarily as offensive either. I mean, guys don't usually want to be short, but it's not as intrinsic as saying, oh, you're not smart, or IQ, this is your brain, this is how your brain works. And that's why I think it gets even more sensitive when we talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things is, like, say, like, there's no clarification, like, say, and like I said, one of the biggest problems, like I said, when we're talking about information, and there are clear differences of races and stuff like that, like, everybody knows that, you can just see it literally. But like, say, what should have happened was, like, you can say something like, okay, Asians have, you know, slanted eyes or something like that, and then that's where we all know this, but now it's like, why? And then that's what we need to examine. And what's happening is you have ideologues, people that, you know, these identitarians, you know, people that have these white nationalist ideologies or whatnot. They're taking upon themselves to figure it out why, and they're not actually, you know, being objective about it. And that's what's happening, where, you know, some people can make up a really stupid argument for, say, something about the Asians in their eyes, but, like, it's an environmental thing if you read up on it, and it's something that, like, it needs to be discussed in length. And say her video did not do that. It didn't do that. It didn't explain in length why blacks average, you know, have low IQs on average. And say she just said genetics, and I'm like, whoa,
yeah. And I think a lot of people again took away from that. Oh, it sounds like they're saying all genetics, or it's all genetic. And I think on the other side, people coming from Rage's side might think, you know, one of your videos, I know Warski's did a video on it, or someone, they might be saying it's all all environment or nurture. So I think both of those should just be squashed, like, right out the gate. It's nature and nurture. I think it's nature and nurture combination. And if we could delve into that more if we wanted to, but I think just to clarify it, no one that we were talking about is saying it's absolute.
Yeah, that's exactly. But the problem with saying, like, the problem with her video though is, and, you know, we asked for clarification, and we didn't receive one. Asked her to come on Andy Warski's stream. You know, nobody was fucking yelling at her or calling her names or anything, and she was already kind of saying,
she went radio silent pretty much since the video came out. And I know there was some drama, and I think she replied on Twitter, but there hasn't been any other words from her.
Well, yeah, and that's what, like, that's kind of like what we wanted, was, say, just some clarification. And you know, things got into a place, like, it turned into drama, which pissed me off, you know. And like, say, some of the claims that she made in the video, the ones that we had the biggest problems, the ones that were, say, like, you know, one of the articles from the Daily Stormer that said, and she quoted that we lack the abstract thinking and no concept of Western morality. And you read further in that article, it says that we also don't understand time. And it's like, oh, this is okay, this is interesting. We can easily debunk that by, you know, and it's just something like, come on.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing I wanted to get at about this video. I think it's probably tied to the fact that it's about race. It's about some of it's about intelligence and whatnot. And that's another reason why I think okay, I would like to. I feel like this video is one of those paintings. I can't think of the word, but it's like one of those paintings where like people interpret it different ways. You watch it, you look at the painting, and someone sees a bird, and then someone else sees a race car. You know, I'm not. It's not the best example, but it's like it's funny how talking to you today, I'm seeing how you viewed it and you saw these certain lines and they hit you harder, and then I was looking at it totally towards more okay IQ, this is how it lined up, and then I moved on to some other points.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, and maybe because and especially since you're not black, maybe one of those reasons.
Yeah, it like hit
like
I could tell it hit your ear. Like whenever you're explaining it, it's like I could tell it like hit your ear way harder. And for me, I heard it, but then I was like listening to something else. I'm not like excusing it, but yeah, it's like, and it definitely hit other people's ears too, because you're not alone.
Well, and it's like one of those things, like, because like I said, those, and I keep harping on those claims she made about the, like I said, the lack of Western morality, stuff like that. I keep talking about that because it would be just as silly for me to, just to suggest something like, oh, white people on average are racist or something, and have no fucking basis, there's nothing. And it's one of those things where it would be, people would clearly jump on that shit and be like, and like we've been doing with SJWs and left-leaning identity politics, we're like, dude, get that bullshit out of here. Like there's no basis for that. It's just stupid to say. And so she said something stupid like that just against black people. And it's the same thing. We're against identity politics. And when people make baseless claims like that, that are just, racist, that's not like, not talking about IQ, but just, oh, blacks on average lack the concept of abstract thinking or have no sense of Western morality. You're like, what the fuck?
I think, and I think this is a lot. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think what a lot of this is tone and like just the demeanor of the video. Not to like, it sounds like I'm over critiquing, but what, like going with what you're saying, it's like, I told you on the earlier that she doesn't have a lot of jokes in her videos or anything. Like, I mean, I think she does like an intro or something, but then she like starts saying all these things and it can sound very matter of fact. It could come off as pompous or elitist even, and like you're saying, or other ones that have claimed even that she's like a white supremacist or something. And I remember people even commenting this is a common tone in a lot of her videos, and that's unfortunate. But for this one, it just seems like, yeah, this is where the straw broke the camel's back. Yeah,
it was, well, because it was blatant. That's why.
Yeah, it was super blatant, and it was
blatant. Anything else could have been kind of like argued, and maybe said like, oh, that rubbed me the wrong way. Like, say I saw some people screenshotting that video she made about Bill Nye and making fun of the fact that he was Jewish, and people are like, that's racist. And I'm like, I didn't even see the video, so I can't say anything to that. And I know people are trying to be edgy and stuff with their memes and jokes and stuff like that. Fair enough. I made some racist jokes too. I mean, why the hell not? Shit's usually funny.
Yeah. We're all here for fun. We're doing it for fun. There's some people that insert more humor, and that's back to that point I was making. It's I think with maybe with our videos, I know I make a lot of jokes and a lot of them are bad and racist or whatever. I'm not trying to be racist, but yeah, I think so. For example, coming from me, a lot of people won't call me a racist as much because I'm already joking around about it a lot.
Yeah.
And then, so if I even dropped a line, like say a similar line, like Rage did, like if I did say something like abstract thought, blah, 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 and then I make a joke later, it's like, it's just kind of, it's not as harsh as it was coming from her, not to defend her, but that's how I see it, as an explanation.
Well, maybe, I don't know. The only thing to me and what I've gathered from the situation is that, because like say you see like a lot of people in the comments, and then people are saying, oh, you guys are being SJWs, you guys are being social justice warriors. And I'm like, okay, what did the social justice warriors do? What are they known for doing? They spout on about identity politics, feminism. I'm a woman. Let me tell you about my woman. Let me tell you about my blackness. Let me tell you about white. Let me tell you that white people are the devil. Let me tell you that white people respond. Like, I'm like, fuck all that bullshit.
Yeah,
and now,
definitely.
So it's.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I was just saying, like, it seems like now there was a shift of, especially that white people that were so tired of being shat on. And like, so a lot of white nationalism and white identitarian ideals started propping up, and they started latching onto it. And then they think that it's all cool And I'm like, well, no, we don't like identity politics on either side, dude. So now that there's, you know, like say to suggest to even, you know, read a source from the Daily Stormer, you know, website that has a tab that says the Jew problem is kind of weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird, you know. It's not. I'm like, dude, that's just right-leaning SJW shit. Like, you know, there's the left-leaning ones that are all over the new news and media. Hillary Clinton's running a campaign on the fact that she's a woman. We're like, that's stupid. Shut up. Like, if a dude was doing the same thing, saying, vote for me for president because I'm a man, or vote for me because I'm white, or someone was saying, vote for me because I'm black, like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Yeah,
what
and
are
I
you
think
even saying?
yeah, and then to address the point back to the alt-right association and how this tends to get linked in with alt-right nationalists and stuff like you were saying before, and I'll and to the chat, I'm reading along with the chat a little bit. I'm going to read the super chat from Sir Adamantine real quick after this bit, but thank you 360 people for watching. That's awesome. 370, we got 90 likes. Keep smashing that like button. But back to association before I get to the super chat. Yeah, I think a lot of this too, and reason this topic gets touchy is it's like you were saying, it's commonly associated with the Daily Stormer. It's associated with alt-right racist people. Not saying all right's all racist. That's going to come back to haunt me.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean. It's like it's association. It's kind of like how communism and socialism is like associated with, I don't know, USSR or bad things in China. Whereas there's, if you go to a academic class or a math class or whatever, they'll talk about socialism by itself isn't as bad. It's got like these ideas, but then it has bad associations. And I think that this topic, this race realism debate, and talking about it, it has a lot of those problems too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And there's something that I mentioned this when we talked about Sam Harris, where, you know, Sam Harris, he's somebody that can talk circles around people when it comes to IQ and genetics. And it's really interesting to listen to a lot of stuff that he has to say. But one thing that he even talks about, and he said it even recently in the Rubin Report, or it's like, what is your end game for obtaining this information? What do you want? And that's where things start getting interesting. You know, like say, you know, Rage is overtoning the video. It's like, okay, let's just say that every single thing that she said, even about the lack of abstract thinking and Western morality, let's assume that everything is true. Okay, what is your end game? Like, what is your reasoning for even for getting this information and comparing whites between blacks? Like, say, if you want to talk about, like, say, maybe race realism and IQ, maybe you want to also bring up IQs of Asians and people of other types of descent, right? But it's just white versus black, and it's like, what are you trying to paint?
Yeah, that was another thing that was interesting in her video. It just seemed like very much white versus black, and those were the only races really coming up. Whereas, you know, if other people that have talked about it or seen things like data from the bell curve, it's like, okay, Asians have the top IQ, and then it comes down to, I think, Russian Jews, white people, yada yada yada, down the line. And it sounds different if you kind of include all these groups as opposed to just, oh, white versus black, or even, again, the tone. Like when you watch that video, it just seems like she's just dogpiling or just only talking about negative black things.
Well, I mean, at a certain, yeah, and I mean, you gotta like say, hey, it's one of those things when you have to think about this, what you put out when you put it out there in, you know, in like online. One of those things, like if you don't clarify your position, kind of like say, why even talk to you about your video? People are gonna challenge you about this stuff. You know, they're gonna be like, well, what did you mean by this? Why didn't you address the grievances that we were actually concerned about? It's one of those things where it's like, maybe you need to talk to some people before you just, you know, do some of your own research and come to your own conclusions. And then things like still get dragged out like this, where I see people that just say, you know, completely 100% Rage did nothing wrong, like nothing whatsoever. I mean, I'm just like, well, I get those. So I guess those people think that, like, say, blacks on average have no concept of Western morality. Like, say, they have no concept, they can't, you know, they lack abstract thinking. Like, say, you know, because she made that claim about when she was talking about languages, you know, she was talking about, and I'm just like, well, you know, there are white languages like Gaelic that are just as simple. And it's like, what does that say? It doesn't fucking prove anything. And it's like, that's really, it's just not smart to do. And then you have people that want to believe this stuff that will not challenge it whatsoever. And that's one of the biggest problems, you know. And we have, I mean, why do we think that there are like websites, there are organizations like InfoWars, where regardless if you like InfoWars or not, there's a lot of stuff in InfoWars that simply is just not true. Like obviously Pizzagate, they had to apologize about that because they might have gotten sued. But there were articles and they said they have the data and the information. And it's like, because you guys want to believe this stuff, you know, like you're not being objective about it. We have to look at this and see what other sources are saying and not just go to InfoWars for our confirmation bias. And it's like, that's the biggest problem with this entire video, is that there's a lot of factual information in it. You know, especially like I said, when she brings up the FBI and DOJ statistics about, you know, blacks in America being what 50% responsible for 50% of the homicides. Absolute fact. Okay.
Right.
But does it say anything else? No, it doesn't. It doesn't say why.
Yeah, and I think the why is where we, you know, things get just dicier, just trying to explain how we're going to use this information, this science. And let me get back to that real quick. Thank you for the super chat. I got another 10 from Ministry of Wrong Think. They say they need their own name. Right wing SJW only makes sense if they're actually pushing social justice. Thanks for that comment. Thanks for the super chats, everyone. I know Sir Adam and Teen had a question. I still remember it. Let me ask you real quick. Some black guy from the super chat. He was asking about the Warski stream, and you guys, when you guys kind of first came across the Rage video, and he wants to know if you, regardless of facts, do you still think that's kind of a dogpiling, that you like these bigger YouTubers were kind of jumping up on Rage?
No, you know, and this is why, because have any of you had any problem whatsoever with all the videos we made about Lacey Green, Francesco Ramsey, all of these people? And we would love to talk to them, but they never want to talk to us. And Rage did the exact same thing. We asked her before we went on, like, would you like to come on and defend your position and not attack her, but hear her out and see what you have to say? Because I was genuinely interested in see if she believed some of the stuff that she claimed. But she said no, she was busy, she was on vacation. I'm like, fair enough. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but like, we want to talk about your points and your sources and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about this stuff. And so I've never seen people, like, I've never had any people in this community or any people that are probably watching this right now have messaged me and said, hey man, why'd you guys dogpile Anita Sarkeesian? Why did you dogpile Francesco Ramsey? Why did you dogpile Anita Sarkeesian? Because they completely disagree with what they say. But now that they hear something that they actually like, and then we disagree with them, they're like, you're dogpiling her. I'm like, that's not how shit works, dude. You have to be fucking objective and neutral about this stuff, and people are showing their biases completely with the situation.
Yeah, it's showing a lot of different sides to people, and it's very interesting. I think it is coming on the tail end of this discussion. I think probably be, you know, I think after me and you talk it out, it could be almost over. I will say that shout out to Hunter and Jesus Christ in the chat. Thanks for watching. Hunter Avalone in the house.
Wait, who's Jesus Christ? Is he a YouTuber?
Yeah, I guess I've seen him in the chats before. I don't know if he makes videos or if he's just a viewer. I've seen him on a few though. He's a good guy. Good guy. Yeah. Jesus Christ. We got ISIS in the house too, so I don't know. Sweet. Maybe that's evening things out a little bit.
Hey, what's up, ISIS?
Yeah, good people watching, bad people watching. Let me ask you, just change topics a little bit. What do you think about the Tree of Logic situation? I know you guys had a little bit of a butting heads about this topic, and you made a video. You had some tweets. What were your thoughts?
Dude, my thoughts were I was kind of in shock because, you know, and let me say this. There's things that you can't say about black people. There's things that people assume about black people that are just ridiculous. Like, say, since like I listen to like metal more than I do hip hop, for example, and people are like, oh, that's weird, you're black. And I'm like, well, fuck off. What the hell is that? But to agree or defend something that suggests that you know, have no concept of Western morality or lack abstract thinking is really weird to me. It's strange to me. And I was just saying, and I was thinking, I don't think she genuinely believes that. I think she's just defending her friend. At least that's what I was just gathering from it, because she Tree of Logic, you know, being an ex-police officer, obviously has a concept of abstract thinking and plenty of Western morality, and I think that is absolutely absurd for, you know, somebody to, you know, make those claims and then for her to somewhat defend them. And I haven't heard anything personally of her saying, well, I've refuted that, but I agree with IQ or whatever. And I'm like, we're not even arguing that shit. So what are we debating about? What are we arguing about? I'm specifically talking about this stuff that is specifically shitting on black people. And like, say, when we talk about, like, I see somebody talking about the bell curve, like, oh, Derek doesn't understand the bell curve. I'm like, I've read through it, and I've also read synopsis of them. And like I said, it's raw data. It does not explain why this is a thing. And people cannot separate that. They cannot. You know, like I made another analogy in my stream saying it's like the wage gap to statistics, where the wage gap statistics suggest that women earn less than men on average, and that's it. And then you have ideologues like feminists that are saying, well, it's because of sexism. I'm like, no, it does not say that. And then people that are watching this right now are like, of course it doesn't say that. I totally agree with that. But then they're like, oh, the bell curve, it totally says it says Y. And I'm like, no, it fucking doesn't. It does not. I'm like,
well, I think I see where you're going with the wage gap comparison as far as making false conclusions from the data. If people are doing that, that's wrong about the bell curve or average IQs or anything. And I think that goes back to if we do use your analogy, it would be like people on white supremacists that would use that data to say whites are obviously better now because we're higher IQ or something like that. That's a good example of using it like the wage gap. I would say as far as other situations or even just addressing it, and this comes back to something I wanted to get at earlier. So this is good because I think that knowledge is always good and data always helps. And this is something I mentioned earlier talking to you that, we shouldn't just halt this kind of science because it's uncomfortable or it might be able to result in assholes using it for their stupid message boards, white supremacy message boards. I think the main point is, and most anyone that values knowledge or learning is going to say, there's no problem with the race realism discussion and getting data about IQ. It's just possibly what are we going to do with it, and I think a lot of people just associate the conclusions and what we could use this data for with negative things, when there are possibilities. Like, we could use this, any information is good. We're not just studying this race either. We're studying like all the races. We're studying all kinds of data like height and metabolism and just muscle mass and all kinds of things. So I think there's just this one tick here, and back to why I said it was controversial before, is we're talking about people's brains. We're talking about who you are a lot.
Yeah. And one thing, like, and all this stuff that you said, and I feel like say Rage, if she would have brought up any examples of some of the stuff that you just covered, I feel like, say, she would have been safe, where it would have been like, okay, she's generally talking about, race realism and IQ differences and between different cultures and races and all this different stuff. But it was just whites versus blacks. I was like, oh shit, this is going to be very this isn't going to be good. And then like I said, I don't understand where she got her sources from. I mean, I know she said this. She said that she believes what's in the video, but then she also said that the sources were a troll, like from the Daily Stormer. But I don't know how they could be a troll when she read directly from them. She quoted them in her video. So I don't know how you would be trolling and also simultaneously saying that, oh, I believe the stuff in the video is true. So I feel like it was maybe a little bit of backpedaling, maybe a little bit of damage control. She didn't really.
Yeah, I'm not like sure I buy that. Like,
I mean, I can't say,
but either way, I think the sources.
I'm just saying that's what happened.
Yeah, that's how it played out. And back to what I said in my video yesterday, I don't think the sources necessarily matter on this one. The way that it was dealt with and stuff, that's important and interesting.
Well, I feel like they do matter because some of the claims that she made came directly from the sources.
Oh, so yeah. No, I mean, what I mean is that when people try to discredit her sources, like, this isn't true. Just because she put a wrong source down doesn't mean that these IQs are not lining up based on these groups, and it doesn't mean
no one suggested that though, and like no one suggested that. When we're talking about IQs and stuff like that, her sources, especially talking about IQ, didn't come from the Daily Stormer. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we talk about like the whole, and I'll bring it up again for the last time, I guess, the lacking Western morality or something like that, or no abstract thinking. Those came from there, and those are points that she made in her video to support her claims, her general conclusion. And it's like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? That's weird. And I don't know how that's a troll, like he claimed. And I want to say something because I didn't really clarify exactly what happened with Tree. We kind of trailed off a little bit.
Yeah, go back to Tree in the Twitter talk.
Yeah, so I want to say, because there was a lot of people, and I hate when people act like this, dude. When they act like, I don't even know, like 16-year-olds or something like that, and they're like, do it, you won't, like, oh, you a bitch, you do it, because she challenged me to a debate. She put out a video and she was crying because somebody called her an Uncle Tom and the daughter of Uncle Ruckus, and I thought it was funny because some of the stuff that's in Rage's video are things that Uncle Ruckus would say, because Uncle Ruckus is a racist black guy that hates black people, and I'm not saying that's literally her. It's obviously those people were joking and being dicks about it.
Joke character from a cartoon.
Yeah, and it was just like it's fun. I'm like, dude, I love Uncle Ruckus. He's a fucking hilarious character. Like, and this situation to me is so ironic. Anyway, so she wanted to debate, but the whole time she was harping on this, and she kept saying I called her a coon. I never once called her a coon, never once. And she kept saying it and kept saying it. And then when people were calling her out on it, they were getting blocked. And then people that follow both of us were telling me like, hey man, I'm just trying to be reasonable and asking her like what's going on, and they're getting blocked. And she's saying everybody's being triggered, and other people, some of my friends were getting dragged into this stuff. And I was like, oh man, why would I want to debate somebody who is acting like this? Like say I reached out to you and everything was nice and smooth. We're having a nice, healthy conversation. I mentioned in one of my streams that Vegan Gains, one of his friends, they sent me an email, challenged me to a debate, and I said, dude, there's been a ton of them already. I'm not interested. And there was no bad blood. There was no commenting, oh, you have no balls, you a bitch, and stuff like that. Because I would have been like, oh yeah, that's definitely.
And there's a lot of intimidation, especially on Twitter. And now especially when you mention vegans, I mean, that's what I was dealing with a couple weeks ago. Is just like they'll get you on Twitter and be like, why don't you answer that? Why don't you? What's your like? They try to put you on the spot, like they think they put this pressure on you, and that doesn't ever usually work for me because I'm so laid back. But I feel what you're saying.
Yeah, and that was one of the biggest things where I'm like, dude, guys, if she would have approached the situation completely different, I would have had no problem whatsoever. And one thing, I kept seeing this, and a few people messaged me, and I even talked to some people in DMs just to clarify my position, just to have them think objectively, where they're saying, oh, you're no different from Tariq Nasheed by suggesting she's an Uncle Tom. I was like, hold the fuck on. Tariq Nasheed calls me an Uncle Tom and a coon. We're simply associating with white people. Not doing anything other than associating.
How dare you? How dare you?
I was at fucking VidCon hanging out with people, and he's saying, oh, I'm a coon minion and all this shit. And I think it's funny as fuck. I just released a video about it. We were laughing our ass off, me and Kasar Vera. Great time. Yeah. I don't care that he calls me that shit. I think it's fucking hilarious. However, Tree cries and gets really fucking hurt about this stuff, and people are like, oh God, you need to apologize and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, what? I'm like, dude, this is the fucking internet, man. You gotta have thicker skin. You can't, I'm like, dude, and you can't expect me to, and I didn't even directly call her something, and even if I did directly call her Uncle Ruckus or something, I'm like, that is the mildest shit that I could say, like, I didn't fucking like, you cunt whore bitch slut, like stuff that people actually say on the internet.
Commonplace on Twitter or anywhere, and I think that I would even say that goes back to, you guys supposedly dogpiling on Rage. I would just say, if you make YouTube videos, this is all to be expected. I mean, sometimes it's unfair and sometimes people are wrong, of course, but you can't just go and say, oh, you can't criticize or you shouldn't be criticizing. I mean, that's just the name of the game. Real quick, thank you, SomeBlackGuy, for coming on, by the way. I want you guys all to know that he's on YouTube. He's making videos. Search SomeBlackGuy. I'll make sure to put the link below after we're done here. Let me read a couple super chats. We got Lord Thruxall donated £5. Thank you. Cheers. And it says a YouTuber called Thinking Ape said this would happen once owning SJWs became boring. More controversial topics like race realism would be explored. I could see that. I'm not sure if this was planned or any. I don't think this was planned, but
no, definitely not.
But it ended up going that way. And I would say on the flip side or the upside, it's nice to have something new to talk about. Let me. Even though there are some, there's been some some fighting or whatnot. That's just part of the game. Let me get a
Yeah,
couple more comments. Malcolm from the North, another $5. Thanks a lot, buddy. Rage, black people are genetically inferior. Some black guy, that's dumb. Tree, Rage said nothing offensive, but feel bad for me because I was called Uncle Ruckus. That sounds like a good little concise
a little
kind of
good
thing.
in a nutshell. Yeah.
In a nutshell. Well put. Welcome from the North. One more. $10. Thank you so much from Tucker Rhodes. Uncle Ruckus is funny as fuck. I agree. Great show.
He is. It's one of my
Great
favorite
show.
characters, dude.
Yeah,
One of my
that's
favorite
hilarious
characters.
stuff. So yeah, guys,
Yeah.
thanks for keeping the super chats coming. We got 400 people watching. Amazing, 186 likes. Keep hitting that like button if you got a second. Back to the talk. I think we were talking about Tree. Did you want to say anything else about that, or did you have something else?
The last thing, like say, and it was at any moment, and I said this on Twitter before. Like, at any moment, she could have directly addressed me. At not once did she directly address me. She was talking to her audience about me. In every single tweet, and I'm just like, yo, like this is. I'm like, I can't take somebody seriously that wants to debate me if they're not even talking to me. Like they're just like, she could have even messaged, she could have added me and say, let's DM, let's message, let's something like that. I wasn't following her first because I didn't even know she had a Twitter, honestly, until somebody mentioned to me. They're like, hey, did you hear that Tree of Logic agree with this? And I was like, where? Like, on Twitter, look what she's saying. And so, and I was just like, because I found Tree of Logic reached out to me when she had like almost no subscribers. She had almost no subscribers, and she shared a video with me on my Facebook about Black Lives Matter and being an ex-police officer, and I thought it was very good. Shouted her out. She got a pretty good bump, and I was very happy for her.
Yeah, I've watched her videos in the past too. Like, it's a good channel. She talks about cool stuff. So it seems like a nice girl. Yeah,
so it's unfortunate that this is how the situation got handled, and I was so annoyed that seeing people saying, "Oh, SJWs, just flinging that pejorative around," and I'm like, "Yo, I'm like, dude, we have a problem with identity politics, like I said in the beginning, and I'll say it again, you know, whether people are talking about my woman, my blackness, my whiteness, my whatever." Like, we're gonna be like, fuck you, dude. That has no, who cares? I don't care who you are. Like, let's talk about something a little bit more important. And it's like, to these ideologues, to these identitarians, this is really important. And then it's like they get mad that we don't want to hear it. When Black Lives Matter shouts about their blackness, so I'm like, I don't want to fucking hear that shit. Now you have some people on the other side that are doing the same thing, and then they're mad. And I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and I think the main thing too, like as far as the debate or doing a video or whatever, it's I don't think a lot of people realize, especially if they don't make videos, it's like, you don't debate everyone. You can't, like, sometimes it doesn't work out, or you don't want to get into like a yelling match debate. Like, sometimes you're ready for it. I know I did that. I knew I was going to do that when I debated certain people like Richard and Vegan Gain stuff. Like, I knew that was going to be a fight, but I was ready for it, and I had, I got myself going. But for your situation, or maybe another one, it's like you might not want to get into a debate where you're going to yell at people. That's why we talked before this, and most of the debates I've done are not even a debate, we're just streaming. It's like with people I've known or talked to, and it makes a big difference, not just for like you personally or whoever you're talking to. It's like, it makes better content.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And now, like I said, that was the main reason why I was just like, I'm not interested. This is stupid. I don't care. And so the whole thing is, oh, hey, this is funny. So somebody said identity politics is bullshit, but they said that my name is SomeBlackGuy, like trying to say that I'm being a hypocrite. Hey guy, my name is this because I don't care about identity politics. It's ironic. My name's SomeBlackGuy. It's because of irony, you fucking retard. Watch my channel.
I feel like that's what I feel like. I get that with my name a lot too. It's like ironic. It's like, how come your show has so much bullshit on it and it's called No Bullshit? And then and it's like, I bet you get some of the similar comments too, because I know, like, once people comment one thing about my name, it's like everyone does it. It's like everyone's like, you're called No Bullshit, more like all bullshit. And then, like, I've heard that comment like every day for like the last year, and it's like every time they think they're so original, it's hilarious.
Yeah, and I get that sometimes. I would even get like tagged on Twitter or something that, oh, that's the worst name for your channel. Like, you don't give a fuck about this blackness and black this. And I'm like, Yeah, I know. I'm like, I know. I'm totally cool with being black. I have absolutely no problem with it. Love my skin color. It's all good. But I don't care about promoting it. I don't think there's any fucking point to being prideful about something you have no control over. Your parents fucked and you simply are. I don't know why you would be proud of something like that. It's like you're proud that the fucking sun rose. Oh shit, you know, yeah,
Yeah,
dude, it
it
happens.
reminds me
Be
of
fucking proud.
the Proud to Be campaign on YouTube last month. It's like proud to be gay.
Oh,
It's like the same kind of.
fuck
It's
off.
just being.
Fuck
It's like,
off.
and they say they're brave and whatever heroes, and it's like, so just existing is brave now, as long as you're a minority or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That to me, that is so like, oh, like a nice pat on the head too. I'm like, oh, you're so strong. You're so brave. I'm like, fuck you, man. I'm like, dude, I don't need
Seriously.
your patronage, dude. And this is identity politics, man. And that's the shit that we want to move away from, because it's like, who is it benefiting? All it does is it's just making your ego grow and making you feel good. Other than that, it doesn't do shit. And that was one of the things where, like, look, I wish that the situation was handled. I honestly don't think that me and Andy and Jeff and all the people on the stream, I don't think we did anything wrong, because like I said, we've done similar things. We've deconstructed other arguments and other videos, you know, that had to do with SJWs and whatnot. Nobody gave a shit. You know, like nobody was like,
Right.
hey, you guys are being mean towards them, you dogpiling them. No, I'm like, no, we handled this and we gave her a chance to speak to. There was no bad blood. Even the first thing I said, I was just saying that, like, hey, you know, you using those sources from the Daily Stormer is like, say, a feminist trying to prove the wage gap is sexist by going to everyday feminism. You know, and that's what I
True.
said to her. You know,
Yeah,
that's not even that fucking bad. I'm like, that I didn't like, hey, you fucking bitch. Why would you say that? You know, I'm like, there was no, I'm like, dude, it was, and then all of a sudden, all these people right now, I'm not saying specifically right now, but a lot, like, say, I see it in a lot of the comments and a lot of, you know, where a lot of the discourses actually happen, or a lot of the dissent, excuse me. People are freaking the fuck. I'd be like, you fucking pieces of shit, SJWs. And I'm like, that's cognitive dissonance right there. I'm like, I've never seen, I'm like seeing these people lose their fucking minds. And I'm like, whoa, that's how the feminists act when we criticize them. Holy shit, you know?
Speaking of losing their minds, shout out to Jeff Holiday in the house. Looks
What
like
up,
we also
Jeff?
got Casara Vera,
Oh,
Exela,
Kasara.
Gion, Joseph, I Love Mean, Stu. I'm reading the chat, guys. Love you guys. 400 people watching. That's amazing. Thanks for all the likes. Go ahead and shout out some comments or questions. We're going to try to peruse those as we wrap this thing up. We're at 40 minutes. We'll probably finish it within an hour or a full hour. Other thing I was going to say, someone did ask a question on a side note. What about supposedly you guys not flat earthing? Someone said flat earthing. What about you guys dogpiling teal deer?
Dogpile. See, that's another thing. Like, people keep saying dogpiling, man. I'm like, I don't believe in this. Like, where were you when we criticized Lacey Green, Anita Sarkeesian, you know, John McIntosh, Steve Shives? Where were you when we were quote unquote dogpiling these people? Did you call us out on that shit? Were you like, hey man, you shouldn't say all that stuff about them. You treated him wrongly for saying all that insane stuff. Like, where were you? You weren't there because you didn't care. Now that we're criticizing someone that you like, now you care. And the same goes with Teal Deer.
Yeah, I think that's a lot. The fans will come to defense. I'm not too familiar with your guys. I guess it was a stream about Teal Deer. I'm not too familiar with that one, but yeah, I think
that I didn't take. I thought that was a shit show. The stream that was, if they're talking about the Worski stream, I thought that was. If they're talking about that specifically, if they're talking about that stream specifically, that was a shit show.
Okay.
I was watching, and it was a little. They and Andy and, you know, since apologized about it because there was things definitely taken out of context, you know. So that was like shit. But as far as like things like Teal Deer made a comment about us being at VidCon that he wrote on Minds.com. And
I saw it. It was like, I think Chris Reagan like retweeted or something. That's how I saw it. And it was just like very negative. Like, oh, these people are hanging out, and Teal Deer was just being like a sourpuss, I guess.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay. And I was just like, I mean, I didn't even say anything because I'm like, dude, what do you even say to that? Like, I remember Chris Reagan saying something like, wow, man, I wish I could be like that much of a cunt or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
like,
Chris. That's what I thought it was funny. Yeah, I was like, I saw it there and I'm like, damn, because it was just so funny. But What do you think if since we're talking a little bit about VidCon, what do you think about the post VidCon situation? I know there's a lot of talk about the both sides, anti-SJW, SJW sides coming and meeting in some places. Some people met Lacey Green, Francesca Ramsey, this and that. How do you feel about that? Do you think anything has changed in the skeptosphere since then?
Yeah, technically. I think that there's a lot of people that are like, say, maybe they want to actually move forward and somewhat politicize their channel a little bit because of what they saw, the bridges that were built. People that we never thought that we'd actually have conversations with, we did. Like, say, I talked to Ashley Hardell, like a very, very, very progressive SJW. And even just, I had a conversation with her. It was very healthy. And I was like, I'm looking forward to maybe speaking with her again. But at the same time, I feel like some people are maybe being a little bit too buddy-buddy. And what I'm saying by that is, like, say, the whole what's her name? Riley Dennis. Like, say, look at, I don't know about the whole, like, I've always said, I was like, I'm going to call Riley Dennis. I'm not going to call he or she because I don't want to get into that bullshit because I want to just criticize the points. Criticize Riley Dennis, the stupid shit that Riley Dennis says.
Confusing. Let's just talk about stuff.
Yeah. And so, but now people are saying that, oh, I'm going to call her she now. And some people are getting pissed off. I'm like, I don't care what you call her. She says stupid shit like, oh, Trump supporters are racist or whatever. And I'm like, dude, that is the dumbest shit ever. Let's criticize that. I don't care about Riley Dennis and her transition and all this stuff. I'm like, whatever Riley Dennis wants to do is none of my fucking business. Now, that's why I was just like, whatever, people we're getting weird about that. I think they were being a little bit too cuddly, where I'm like, what? Like, what are you saying sorry for? I'm like, why are you sorry that before, I understand why people were calling Riley a he. I totally get it. Giant Adam's apple, absolutely like no effort to transition to a woman whatsoever. And now, like, I guess she's going to have an operation or something like that. So like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, what do you mean you're sorry? Maybe you can just say, like,
me out too. I don't know how that's gonna play out, but that just sounds weird.
Yeah,
like I'm just gonna get surgery on his face or something. I don't know. Best of luck to him. But let me.
Dude. Whatever Riley wants to do, whatever.
Yeah. Let me get these super chats out, and I'll give some more thoughts on VidCon before we go. Thank you, Ministry of Wrong Think, $5. Awesome. You better stand up for women's rights because simply sitting down makes you a garbage human. Nice VidCon reference there. California, or I think it's I got $2 Canadian, which is, I guess that's okay. Thank you, though. No, really, thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Wolfcat, Wildcat. Shout out to Wild Warlock. And with $2, you're a doo-doo pooey head. Kid insults, Bunty King. Nice, well put. Hunter gave us $5. Thanks a lot, Hunter Avalon in the house. What's up, buddy?
What up, Hunter?
Yeah. Thanks for the $5. Transitioning or not, Riley will always be trailer park tranny. Well, nice. Well put. I will say,
why not? Whatever.
Yeah. About the thing about VidCon I've noticed is a lot of people seem to be like capitulating, whatever. I can't even say that word, but it just seems like a lot of people have softened up a little bit and maybe getting taken for a ride by people like, say, Lacey Green, or I'm not even Nia Sarkeesian. She didn't even talk to anyone, but yeah, I think a lot of people might be concerned that some of the skeptics are coming across as just too nice now, and they're letting things go. I don't think there's been enough time to see that all play out. But yeah, I think a lot of the consensus going around. I've seen a few videos. There was even a video. I was watching some of Hard Bastard yesterday, and he talked about this at length. And he was talking about how, there's a lot of these YouTubers, and they think they know these people now because they met face to face. But I don't know. I think there just still needs to be like that separation between persons meeting persons versus talking about ideas in a open place like YouTube.
Yeah, well, what I can say, and what I mentioned that, say, I think some people kind of wanted to become a little more politicized, because what we realized by how we were, hashtag fuck your feelings, you're not going to change any of these SJWs by constantly berating them and shitting all over them. So I understand why some people want to tone it down a little bit, but I think they only want to tone it down for people that see like there's a genuine possibility of them changing. And what I can say about Lacey Green, like, she still believes a lot of stuff that she believes, but there's a lot of stuff that she has definitely apologized about. And I talked to her in person. She's genuinely a nice person. I've never seen like a more like just like just a bubbly person, happy to be around all these people, and she wasn't like, you know, she had a heart-to-heart with Sargon, which was amazing. I was there. I saw her bawling her eyes out. I was like, what the fuck's going on? And it was nice, man. Like, and I will say like that, I can chalk that up to, even though she's not like fucking, I would never say she's like red pilled or something like that. But I can chalk that up to somewhat of a win, because there was just a bridge and understanding, and not just her plugging her holes in her, you know, plugging her ears and saying la la la, and I can't hear you. And like there's people like,
I just feel like, I hear you, and I think that on face value, it sounds like good stuff, and it could be good stuff. I'm just afraid. I mean, maybe it's a little conspiratorial or whatnot, but I just don't know if it's genuine. And I did notice one of the videos that Lacey did following VidCon, and it was like talking about her meeting Sargon and just the whole crying. She's crying and hugging him and all that stuff, and that just seemed like so over the top to me. And just like, I'm sure, like you said, I'm sure she's nice, but I think this might be more of a political move. And I did notice some of the language, like she's never had any apologies. Maybe she apologized to people in person or when she talked to Sargon, but in the video specifically, it seemed like she was still kind of playing the victim, and she acted like Sargon. There was lines in there that were really bad, like Sargon had caused all this horrible harm to her over this, and I was just like, come on.
No, that's something that I also was like, that's because I don't agree, because I think Sargon is one of the most well-balanced people out there. He can go hard on someone pretty quick. I mean, he can go pretty hard sometimes, but I mean, he's so mild compared to like me and my fucking gutter mouth, or somebody like Andy Worski, that aren't even being like, we're not even coming from a place of skepticism. We're just more talking shit, you know, and which I've always told people that I'm like, you know, I make similar videos. I make videos on the same subjects that a lot of people in the skeptic community do, but I don't necessarily consider myself one of those type of people. I'm one of those people that I'm like, hey, everybody, stop being dumb. And I'm going to talk a little bit of shit and crack some jokes. Have everybody feeling good, you know? And so, but what I'm trying to say is that I totally gave, I don't think her, Lacey, is totally changed or anything. I don't see it being a political gain, especially the type of shit that, the type of backlash that she got for just essentially dating Chris Ray Gun and all this stuff was so ridiculous. Like, I feel like, you know, like,
why does Chris date her? What, they're dating now?
They are dating, and everybody was kind of like, that's weird. However, like, say people were like, you know, people with people that like butting heads and their ideologies kind of conflict. That happens a lot. Like, say sometimes you have a Christian dating a Muslim or something, shit like that, or there's these clear things that I'm like, huh, you know, you guys, you guys, when do you think that the opposite's going to hell or some shit, right? Like, you know that there's some things, there's some problematic things going on, and maybe at some point you're gonna have to address them, but people do it all the time.
Yeah,
and I feel like they're doing, like, say, what?
I think the biggest thing here is just like, it seems our side, I still am with like our side, skeptic side, and you know, I just see a problem of people trying to be too nice to them and getting taken advantage of, because Lacey appears nice and she plays the victim, and then it's just, but really I don't know if she's conniving or has any kind of secret plan, but I think the one thing that is clear is she's trying to reinvigorate her channel and get more views by doing this whole red pill thing, and then coming across sides, and next thing you know, she's dating someone on the side. I mean, how, like, that's like Game of Thrones type shit. Like, she's like invading, like the best way she knows how is like by, I don't know, having Chris's baby or something. Bring the houses together.
I mean, I will say, man, I don't believe that there's a malicious intent or a malevolent or anything, but being objective about it is definitely, there is an absolute possibility that could be happen. You know, that could happen. Yeah. I mean, I've been taken for a ride by women before. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been like, oh, you're so great, you're so wonderful, we're going out, and she's like, oh wait, never mind, I'm gonna get back to my ex boyfriend, and then all of a sudden totally fuck me over. Like, I totally know that some people can just have completely put on a front and wear a mask, and then they completely change. So I would never rule that out. I'm just saying I haven't. There's no evidence to suggest that there's a malevolent intent.
Yeah, there's nothing. Nothing has broke out yet. I just find it interesting when you look at some of the videos and the vlogs. It's just the language and like, you know, Sargon even said himself that he's apologized and other people apologize, but it's only like the skeptics apologizing. And like Lacey Green has never said anything that she's sorry about anything. Like she's just saying stuff like, "Oh, I'm happy to get this apology because Sargon hurt me so bad." And it's just like, oh my God, give me a break. Like you're the one.
That's very telling though. That's very telling though, right? Like about like the difference between the communities and how we can actually own up to shit if we do feel bad about something, or like, oh, maybe I fucked up, maybe I crossed the line, my bad. You know, and we can actually be kind of adults about things. And I will be honest, I'm one of those. I think it would be. I know she doesn't have to apologize, but yeah, it would be nice. I understand it would be a nice olive branch, essentially.
Yeah, and I'm not asking for it either. I just noticed like these guys are apologizing. I think Andy might have said something to Francesca, but then it's like not coming both ways, and it seems like they're still kind of like standing their ground. And I don't know, just maybe the I don't know. It just doesn't seem very genuine.
Yeah. I don't know how long say stuff like this would actually is going to keep up. Like I know it's a nice sentiment. Like I'm one of the people that like if I see somebody that there's a possibility that I could persuade them to, you know, just be a little more rational or something, then I'll probably try to tone it down. But like say for example, someone like Anita Sarkeesian, I'll never be nice to her ever. Even if I meet her in person, I would probably tell her you're a fucking horrible bitch. I would tell her straight to her face because she just genuinely is. And there's to the point where she can talk shit to Boogie2988, like one of the sweetest fucking people on YouTube. It really is very, very telling. And so,
for me, it's certain people that are actually like you would actually be pissed at, but for the most part, it's like all the videos I reviewed, I 90% of the time don't hate the person, even if I say that or talk the shit, or you know, we like to make jokes or say someone's a stupid retard or whatever. It's like you don't mean that all the time, but then there are ones like you said where you could just see Anita and you see not only her videos but her responses and her tweets, and like it's not just her content, it's like also how she's acting.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. Okay, wait.
Yeah, that's good. Just to wrap things up, I got a few more super chats. If you guys have any last questions in the chat, drop them in there. We're gonna wrap it up in a few. Let's see. We got All Praise the Thirsty Biker from Superman or Superman, $5. Thanks a lot, buddy. C. Kel gave another $5. That's amazing. We're racking them in today, guys. Love you. I feel like the skeptics aren't being as crass because they are recognizing that the SJWs aren't becoming as radical. Just some equilibrium is all. I think that's a good point. I think there's a lot of meat in the middle here. And I think there's a lot of not just being in the middle, but now it's like, let's move on to some different topics, like the stuff we started with the stream with and other things. Like I know this was before this, but I remember that was part of the reason I got into the vegan debate. I was like, okay, let's get a new topic in here. I'm not going to draw this one out, but it has been coming up, and then I jumped in and then you jump out. So I think that's good. I think it's good to change, and we don't need to beat SJWs into the ground. They've already lost. Let's be real. They've lost in views. They've lost in popularity. And I want to build on that, because they are like, say, as far as like culturally and you say views and everything like that, absolutely 100%. But we also remember like things like Canada with Bill C-16. Like there are some shit that is still very prevalent and still needs to be dealt with. Like, so I don't want people to just lose sight of, I'm bored of just SJW. You can't let it go. You can't let it come back on us. So we'll keep an eye on it. And if we do see another video or the law you mentioned, you know, we're not gonna give up on that. But it is like the thing where, you know, it's slowly we're wearing them down, I think. And they see,
absolutely.
Yeah, and they see that their ideas are flawed. We've got the rationality, the logic on our side, and on top of that, the views and stuff. I mean, there's still people that do get propped up on their side, of course. I mean, Francesca Ramsey's still on MTV. I don't know if that's still going on or whatnot, but stuff like that, it still happens. It still shows like Problematic on Comedy Central. That's all full SJW. So it's
Yeah,
not over, like you said, and we won't give up on it. But we are making some good waves, and
definitely,
I'm
definitely.
glad to be working together with guys like you, some black guy, Derek. You're great. Hunter Avalon in the chat. Thanks for again for the $5, bro. Other people, Andy Warskis, you know, all the good people. We're doing good stuff, and I'm glad that we could get together on this, Derek, because I know, you know, we had some differences at the beginning of the day. We talked it out. We got the stream. We got it all out
Yeah,
there. It
yeah,
feels good. I'm glad that we could talk again. I'm glad everyone could watch. One more
definitely.
super chat. Wild Warlock, $2 Australian. Derek, try dick, but gays hate blacks. He's screwed. Okay, that's a great super chat. I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
What?
It's like, okay, let's try it again. This is Derek, try dick, but gays hate blacks. Y'all screwed. Okay, that's enough. That's enough of that one. But the chat's going crazy. You guys are lighting it up. We're about to sign off here. So last chance to hit the like button, hit a super chat up if you have a real question. I'll read some of the names. One more thank you to Some Black Guy for coming on. Make sure you guys check out his channel. Great videos, lots of fun stuff. You did a stream with Kasara yesterday. I saw some of that. That was a lot of fun. What's your video? You said you had a video coming out today?
Oh yeah, it came out like maybe like an hour ago. It's just Tariq Nasheed. He does a live stream on YouTube, and one of them he started talking about VidCon, and he spent like a good 10-15 minutes just talking shit about me. And it was great. It's
awesome.
some of the funniest shit that I've heard, and some of the words that he used. Like for example, like I'm in the metal and stuff. He's like emo Negro, for example. Like I am now an emo Negro, and it's beautiful, dude. It's
That's
beautiful.
funty.
Free
So you
Texas
still
fan
get
is
that
Jack, man.
feeling?
Love you, dude.
Oh yeah, shout out to the chat.
Sorry.
Do you still get that feeling? Like I know I had a few the first few times, like it's only been recently where people will like mention me in their video, and I'm just like I'm always a little happy. I'm like, oh, this is funny. I don't care what they say. It's like they could say the meanest shit, but it's like, oh, they mentioned no bullshit. I'm like, yeah. Oh my god, here we go.
It was great. This one was extra exciting because most of the videos I get mentioned in are so very low level, like black supremacist dudes that say shit like coons die first and they just want me dead. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I've heard that shit. It's kind of boring. And I'm not gonna like it's not even entertaining and stuff, and their shit sucks. But
Yeah.
then like somebody like this that actually has a pretty large audience, roughly like around the same size as yours. And I was just like, oh fuck, like this is good. And he has a pretty big Twitter presence, and so finally I have it's pretty cool, man. I would, it's flattering, I would say, like just even if it's bad shit being said about me, it's fucking flattering.
That's
I like it
feel
much
too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, shout out to Irate Bear in the chat. He said he mentioned me in a video. I'm gonna have to find that one. I do remember like the last one I got, or the one that I was thinking about was when Vegan Gains, when Richard did a whole long review of me, and he did like 2 hours of breaking apart my video, and I was just laughing the whole time. I was like, oh my god, this is great. I had him like so pissed off. It was just fucking glorious. Shout out to Hunter Avalon still in the chat. We're gonna wrap this up. One thing though, maybe Rage After Storm feels that way, getting all this hype now. You know, back bringing this full circle. Maybe she's seeing all these people mention her, and she's just like, oh yay. I'm not sure if her situation is the same as ours though. Hers has been a little tougher storm to weather, but I think it'll all even out in the end. Thanks everybody in the chat for joining us. This has been Talking with Some Black Guy About Race. Thanks again, Derek, for coming on.
Yeah, man, glad to be here. I think we aired a lot of things out, and make sure you people, some of you people I'm seeing in the chat right now, make sure you watch the beginning of this because you missed a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it was a good talk. A lot at the beginning about the race is real thing. So check it out. Hit the like button. Make sure you guys go to Derek's channel. Check out his video from today. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. You're awesome. Have an awesome day. New videos coming later in the week. We'll see y'all next time.